afternoon, boys and girls. Today is August 17th, 2020. Happy Monday. Today's objective for our lesson is understand our writing goals for the school year. We do not have a due now. And tonight's assign yourself is to collect supplies for tomorrow's lesson. We will talk more about that at the end of this lesson. So stick around to the very end of the video, please. Let's get started. In today's lesson, we'll be talking about our third grade writing goals. You have goals to meet by the end of the school year for our writing class. Let's get into it. Okay, boys and girls, we are going to start off our lesson by watching a read aloud of a book called The Most Magnificent Thing. While we are reading this book, your thinking job is to ask yourself, what can we learn from this book about setting goals? At the beginning of the book, there's going to be a girl who sets a goal of building the most magnificent thing. And while you watch her process of building that most magnificent thing, ask yourself, what can you learn from her about reaching this goal?
Is a regular girl.
Let's get to watching that book.
Friend in the whole wide world. They do all kinds of things together. They race, they eat, they explore, they relax. She makes things. He unmakes things. One day, the girl has a wonderful idea. She is going to make the most magnificent thing. She knows just how it will look. She knows just how it will work. All she has to do is make it, and she makes things all the time. Easy peasy. First, she hires an assistant. Next, they gather their supplies. They set up somewhere out of the way and get to work. The girl tinkers and hammers and measures, while her assistant pounces and growls and chews. When she is finished, she steps back to admire her work. She walks around one side. Her assistant examines the other side. It doesn't look right. Her assistant picks it up and gives it a shake. It doesn't feel right either. They are shocked to discover that the thing isn't magnificent or good. It isn't even kind of sort of okay. It is all wrong. The girl tosses it aside and gives it another go. She smooths and wrenches and fiddles. Her assistant circles and tugs and wags. When she is finished, she stands up and takes a long look at it. Her assistant gives it a nudge with his paw. The thing is still wrong. She decides to try again. The girl saws and glues and adjusts. She stands and examines and stares. She twists and tweaks and fastens. She fixes and straightens and studies. She tries all different ways to make it better. She makes it square. She makes it round. She gives it legs. She adds antenna. She makes it fuzzy. She makes it long, short, rough, smooth, big, small. One even smells of stinky cheese. But none of them are magnificent. Her hard work attracts a few admirers, but they don't understand. They can't see the magnificent thing that she has in her mind. She gets mad. The angrier she gets, the faster she works. She smashes pieces into shapes. She jams parts together. She pummels the little bits in. Her hands feel too big to work, and her brain is too full of all the not right things. If only the thing would just work. Crunch! The pain starts in her finger. It rushes up to her brain, and she explodes. It is not her finest moment. I am no good at this. I quit. Her assistant suggests a walk. It's not much help at first, but before long, she starts to feel different. Bit by bit, the mad gets pushed out of her head. As they stroll along, she comes across the first wrong thing she made. The bad feelings are about to start all over again. Then she notices something surprising. There are some parts of the wrong things that are really quite right. The bolts on one, the shape of another, the wheel to seat ratio of the next. There are all sorts of parts that she likes. By the time she reaches the end of the trail, she finally knows how to make the thing magnificent. She gets to work. She works carefully and slowly, tinkering, hammering, twisting, fiddling, gluing, painting. Her assistant makes sure there are no distractions. This is the perfect thing to ward off bears. This will stop that leak. This one's all wet. The afternoon fades into evening. Finally, she finishes. She alerts her assistant. The pair take a good long look. It leans a little to the left, and it's a bit heavier than expected. The color could use a bit of work too, but it's just what she wanted. They climb aboard and take it for a spin. They are not disappointed. It really is the most magnificent thing.
Okay, so let's talk about what we can learn from this book about setting goals. So remember at the beginning of the book, the girl sets the goal of making the marvelous thing. But she doesn't reach her goal the first time she does it. And she doesn't reach her goal the second time or even the third time. So what can we learn from that? Sometimes when you set a goal, you don't meet it right away. And that's totally normal, boys and girls. Our brains are always growing, and a part of growing is setting those goals. So she was able to finally make the most marvelous thing at the end of the story. And if she had given up after trying the first, second, or third time, she wouldn't have been able to do that. So what we can learn from this is you keep working on a goal over time. So throughout the whole school year, we'll be working on our writing goals, getting better and better each time we do something, and then track it. You learn from your mistakes and grow each time you try. So every time she made a different thing, she learned from that thing, took what she liked from it, left out what she didn't like from it, and put it into the most marvelous thing. So all of her mistakes and her mess ups, they added up into something magnificent. So let's go ahead and learn about our goals this year and how we can grow over time together for writing class. In third grade writing, our goal is for 100% of third grade writing scholars to earn an 80% or better on their end of year writing exam. So at the end of the school year, you're going to take an exam, and your job is to get an 80 or better on that exam. Okay, boys and girls, so on that end of year exam where you must earn an 80 or better, there's two parts to it. The first part is our grammar part, and that is in a multiple choice format. That means that there's a question and there's choices for you, and you pick one. And the second part is where you actually write an essay or a story depending on the prompt that they give you. We'll talk a little bit more later about prompts, okay? But what I want you to know is that all of our exams have the two parts, the grammar and the published piece part. And that is what guides our learning throughout the school year. So part of our class, one part of your lesson is always going to be a grammar lesson. Grammar is how words are put together into sentences, and those sentences are put together into stories or essays. And you're always going to have a writing part of your class where you actually get to practice writing stories and essays, which we'll get into a little bit later, probably tomorrow. We'll talk more about actually starting writing. So let me say that again, two parts to the class and two parts to the test. One is grammar and one is writing, okay? So from here on out, you're going to have 2 lesson videos each day. One lesson video will be for the grammar part of the class, and the other lesson video will be for the writing part of the class. And in those videos, I'll tell you if you have an exit ticket for that part of the class or what to write for that day. In 3rd grade writing class, we track our learning to see how close we are getting to our end of year goal of earning an 80% or better on our end of year exam. We do this in a few different ways. One, we do a grammar quiz on every Friday so that me as your teacher and you as the student can see how close you are getting to understanding a skill for grammar that we learned that week in school. If you aren't understanding that skill, if it's the whole class, I can decide to do that as the lessons for the next week. Or if it's a few kids, I could pull you for our BAT Circle learning time at the end of the day for tutoring. Then on September 22nd, we will turn in our published writing pieces. You'll learn more about those. We're going to be working on this whole time until then. And you'll also do a multiple choice grammar test to show what you've learned over the last few weeks with our grammar lessons. So we track all that growing and learning so that we know we are heading in the right direction towards the end of the school year. It's important for you as the scholar to track your learning so that you can own your learning and really know if you are on track. So I have created some trackers to help you do that. When you go to our writing grade 3 class, you will see some channels on the side. We have the individual grammar student trackers there. You'll see the expectations are here, and then you'll also see some instructions on how to find your grammar tracker in case you forget after you watch this video. When I want to go to my grammar tracker, I click Files at the top of the page under the individual grammar student tracker channel. It might take a little bit of time for it to load, but that's okay. Inside of the files, I have it organized by homeroom. So what you need to do is pick which homeroom you're in and click on that. There you will see everybody's names by last name in your class. Find your last name. They are in alphabetical order. That means in ABC order. You find your name and you click on it. There you will find your grammar quiz tracker. I've already put the dates in for each Friday up until our test for your quizzes that you are going to take with me. After you get your quiz grade, you will come to your tracker, you will find the date that we are on, and you will move it to your grade. So what you do is, say we're on the first Friday this week, I am going to go to my tracker. I'm going to click on the box. I just click on it first, and then I hover over to the white ball until I see the 2 arrows. Then I drag it up to match where my grade was. If I got a 50, I would go to the 50 where that top of the line is, where the 50 is. If I got a 100, I would go all the way to the top. If I got an 80, it would be right there. So you go to the top of the line with whatever number grade you got was. I'll show you how to do that again. You find your tracker, you click on the box of the day of the week it is, or the month I should say. You see the little white balls come up. You hover it over the middle ball until you see the 2 white arrows come up, and then you just drag it, boys and girls, to match what your grade is. And then over time, you will be able to see yourself growing. And if you're not growing, we can work together as a team to help you get there. Okay, so far you've seen how we are going to track our grammar progress over the weeks. Now you're going to see how we will track our published writing. We will take a little bit more time in between tracking this one more than what we did for grammar. So same way you're going to do it is you're going to go to the individual published writing trackers right here underneath the grammar trackers. You're going to go up to Files. It takes a minute to load, just let it go. And you will see your homeroom teachers here. You click and you find it by your last name. For now, I'm just going to click on my example tracker. And that will bring you to your published writing tracker. So we will only track our published writing when we publish a piece of writing, and we publish at the end of each unit. So on September 22nd, we will be publishing Unit 2, and that's the first one we're going to do. You'll see at the bottom here, all of those are the different units that we will have throughout the school year. We have 9 units, plus our final exam right there. Our final exam actually comes before our very last unit, so that's why I put it there. Then on this side, you will see the grades that you can get. So just like with the grammar tracker, you click on the tracking item there, you hover over the little white balls, and you drag it up to show your grade for your published piece. Remember, your goal for the final exam is to get up to an 80 at the end of the school year. For today's exit ticket, you are going to actually go find your published writing tracker, open it up, and I want you to set your goal for this school year, and that is up to the 80. So I'll show you that again. Your exit ticket today is to set your goal for published writing at the end of the year for your final exam of an 80. Okay, boys and girls, that is your published writing tracker. Okay, boys and girls, what we are going to talk about next is very, very important, and that is our tracker expectations. We need to respect and support each other in our learning goals, and especially with our trackers. Here are the rules for our trackers. Number 1, Only open your own homeroom class folder. You have no reason to open another folder if you are not in that homeroom place. Number 2, only open your personal tracker. If it does not have your name on it, do not open it. It's not your business, boys and girls. That is your classmates' personal data tracking information. Please do not open it. If you do that, you are invading somebody else's privacy. You wouldn't want somebody else doing that to you, so please do not do that to your classmates. Very important, please. And number 3, only change what the teacher tells you to and when she tells you to do it. So that means don't go in and change all of your goals and your tracking at one time. You only do the day that I'm telling you to do and when I tell you to do it. I will tell you when every single time. Now, this is important to remember, boys and girls. The teacher, that's me, can see who opens each file and who makes changes. It shows me the name, boys and girls. So, take this warning very carefully, please. Do not open or change other students' files. I will see your name and I will know that you, 1, invaded somebody else's privacy by going into their tracker, and 2, you did something to dip out of their bucket, which is to change their stuff up in their work, right? That's just not a nice thing to do. Please do not do that. If you make that choice, if you choose to dip a bucket, if you choose to go into somebody else's folder, there is a consequence, my friends. And that consequence is straight to a parent phone call, no excuses. I, of course, don't want to have to do that, which is why I'm telling you now. Please don't. Make sure that you follow these expectations to respect and support your fellow classmates. If you ever forget how to find your student trackers, you can always go back to one of the tracker pages, either one, they both have it, and you scroll up to the top, click See More, and this post will show you how to find your grammar trackers. Step 1, click Files at the top of this page. Step 2, click on the folder with your homeroom teacher name. And step 3, find your last and first name. Your last name will come first. Double check that it is your file. Click on the name to open your file. Remember, it takes a few minutes to load. If you have followed steps 1 through 3, you will have found your tracker. Okay, now it's time for you to go do your exit ticket. I'll go over what that exit ticket is again one more time for you. Step 1, find your published writing tracker. It's on the individual student published writing tracker channel on the writing page. Step 2, set your end of year goal. Remember, the goal is an 80. If you can't remember how to find your published writing tracker, there's a reminder on the channel, or you can rewatch this video again. This is what your published writing tracker should look like once you finish your exit ticket. You should have set the goal to an 80. If you don't remember how to do this, rewatch this video again. If you have followed the directions of going to the files, under the tracker channels, and then clicking on your homeroom's file, and you cannot find your name anywhere, it is possible that I missed you when I was making the trackers. There's a lot of them, and sometimes I make mistakes. Sorry. So if that did happen, I'm so sorry it did, just go over here, click the chat box, and you can send me a private message. You can do that by clicking on the little box up there and putting in my name, Amber, and you can find me by Philpott, my old name. Oh, it can't find me because that's me. Okay, boys and girls. So that is what you do if you cannot find your files. Before we end today's video lesson, I want to prepare you for tomorrow's lesson. Tomorrow, we will be going over writer's notebooks. So what you will need for class tomorrow is a writer's notebook and a pencil. This can be a composition notebook or a spiral notebook. And make sure that you have a pencil sharpened and ready to go, boys and girls. All right, that is it for today's video lesson. Make sure that you complete your exit ticket. Have a great afternoon. One more thing before you go, boys and girls. We will be doing something fun in class tomorrow with our notebook supplies. So think about things that represent you, some of your favorite things. And here are some optional items that you can bring. Again, these are not required. They are optional items for you to use in class tomorrow. Stickers, markers, photographs, magazine cutouts. Tomorrow, you'll see what we're doing. Okay, boys and girls, see you tomorrow.